We've already seen that President Trump successfully made D.C. safe again in only a few weeks. That same crime crackdown will continue to happen in cities across the country and is happening in Portland, Oregon. President Trump will end the radical left's reign of terror in Portland once and for all. The president has directed Secretary Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other left-wing domestic terrorists. What's been allowed to happen in Portland, and we saw disturbing video footage of this last night, this is not peaceful protesting, this is left-wing anarchy that has been destroying this great American city for years, leaving police officers battered, citizens terrorized, and business properties damaged. Since early June alone, Antifa terrorists have laid siege to the ICE field office in South Portland. These radical left-wing lunatics have violently breached the ICE facility by using a stop sign as a battering ram, hurled explosives and other projectiles at law enforcement, repeatedly assault and dox officers, berate their law-abiding neighbors, and have even rolled out a guillotine in front of the ICE facility.
A guillotine, huh? That sounds a lot like those people who had a guillotine at the United States Capitol, the people's capital. A guillotine for Mike Pence, who I am no fan of either, by the way. Weren't your supporters the ones who built that guillotine and they were chanting to hang the vice president? Isn't there a little bit more violence on the political right than there is truly on the political left? And by the way, fuck ICE. Fuck ICE.
And more people should be reporting on that. President Trump has sent federal law enforcement to protect federal assets and arrest those fueling this violence. Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sorter was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he...
By the way, I'm Antifa, just so everybody knows. If you're watching this, you should be aware. I should start saying this at the top of my broadcast. I am Antifa. So if you're watching this, you could be arrested by association with me. I am Antifa. You want to see my membership card? Here, let me pull it out for you real quick. Here's my membership card. That's for Donald Trump.
Was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults. But instead of arresting these violent mob members night after night after night who are ravaging this community, the police arrest...
Night after night after night, I sleep with my old man husband and wonder why Donald Trump is so handsome night after night after night.
A journalist who was there trying to document the chaos, and everyone in this room should be extremely concerned about that. The Department of Justice spoke with that journalist this morning, and they will be launching a full investigation into his arrest. This incident is part of a troubling trend in Portland where left-wing mobs believe they get to decide who can visit and live in their city.
Does anybody know how to join a left-wing mob? I keep hearing about these left-wing mobs, and if there was one, I'd really want to be a part of it because our country is literally becoming a fascist state. And we could use some more left-wing mobs to organize, protect people, maybe save immigrants who are being unlawfully detained. So if anybody knows of a left-wing mob, please email me. My email is in the description because I would love to join. I think everybody should create more left-wing mobs. That's really what we need right now. But whatever Karoline Leavitt's talking about, it's made up.
It is not their city. It is the American people's city, and President Trump is going to
I agree,
that.
Tish. It's pathetic.
I just spoke with the president about this, and he has directed his team here at the White House to begin reviewing aid that can potentially be cut in Portland. We will not fund states that allow anarchy. There will also be an additional surge of federal resources to Portland immediately, including enhanced CBP and ICE resources. Law and order will prevail, and President Trump will make sure of it. With that, I'll take your questions, and we will begin today's briefing with our new media seat, Amanda Head from Just the News. Amanda, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Caroline. On that most recent topic that you mentioned, reportedly Portland police have not been able to engage protesters to the degree that they normally would. Does the president plan on handling this from that angle as well with city leaders?
Yes. From our understanding, the law enforcement that we have here in the Homeland Security Task Force, I spoke with them this morning, and what they're seeing is that unfortunately, local police has been restricted from responding or cooperating at all with federal authorities, which is completely absurd. We have surged federal law enforcement personnel to this city to restore law and order and to work alongside local law enforcement. And we've seen the benefits of this in Washington, D.C. And all of you live here, so you can agree Washington, D.C. is and feels much safer because of the cooperation between federal and local law enforcement. They can and must be working together, and we think it's despicable that these local elected officials who swear an oath to protect their people are preventing law enforcement from doing their jobs on the ground. So that's why the president has directed his team here at the White House, and they are already on it, to look into how we can cut funds. And the president wants to work with anyone. If the mayor of...
I heard there's a war zone going on in Portland right now. I heard there's a matcha shortage, and I heard that it's raining. And it's getting really rainy now that fall is coming, and people have to shelter indoors and go find a Pilates class to take. It's getting really bad in Portland, folks.
Portland were to call him right now and say, Mr. President, please help us, I am sure the president would be willing to do that. He is genuinely serious about wanting to restore order in America's cities. But it's become apparent that the local and elected officials in Oregon do not feel the same. And that's very unfortunate for the people who live there.
By the way, to the 100 plus people on TikTok right now, come join on YouTube. Link is in my bio, or search Josh the Progressive on YouTube. I'm only going to leave this new TikTok broadcast up for Karoline Leavitt's press conference. And after that, I will be on YouTube exclusively, where you can actually see what we're watching. So like I said, Josh the Progressive on YouTube, or just search the link in my bio. And let me know in the YouTube chat that you came from TikTok, and everybody's going to welcome you. Aren't we going to do that, everybody on YouTube? We're going to let people feel welcome and excited to be here as we get underway listening to this neo-Nazi Karoline Leavitt try to destroy our country.
And then one more question on the government shutdown. Should there be some type of scheduled layoffs to maybe entice Democrats to come to the table, like every hour another agency, another 100 pink slips? I'm sure Russ Vought has a list of folks ready to go.
Well, look,
another question from a reporter that is not even a question. It's just people suggesting things to this administration. They're like, hey, you should have like a scheduled layoff every hour. Like, this is a fun game. Like, oh, it's hour number 3. If the Democrats don't come back to the negotiating table, goodbye, everybody who works at the National Park Service. Oh no, if the Democrats keep trying to save your health care, we're going to fire everybody who's working in public education. Ooh, we have the power to destroy the country if you don't let us destroy the country like we're already doing.
The Office of Management and Budget, as we've said repeatedly, is working with the agencies and our cabinet secretaries to identify where cuts unfortunately can and have to be made. And again, we understand there's another vote happening on the Senate floor in an hour. Maybe if Democrats do the right thing, this government shutdown can be over. Our troops can get paid again. We can go back to doing the business of the American people. But if this shutdown continues, as we've said, layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of that. And Russ Vought has been in contact with our cabinet secretaries at their respective agencies to discuss that. Thank you, Amanda. Kelly.
How would this administration define what makes a Democrat agency, which agencies, and what constitutes being a Democrat agency?
I think this administration has been very clear, Kelly, that we're not going to tolerate waste, fraud, and abuse in our government.
Oh my God, she's back with the waste, fraud, and abuse. Remember that nonsense? Remember Doge? How successful was Doge? They barely trimmed any fat off the debt before Donald Trump added nearly $4 trillion to our national deficit. The bill that literally got Elon Musk to quit the government, called Trump an Epstein pedophile, and essentially showed that the entire Doge effort was a fraud. It did nothing. They actually left waste behind. They left their offices completely destroyed with junk everywhere. They never went after waste, fraud, and abuse. They just went after every program that they felt was misaligned with MAGA, and they called those programs waste, fraud, and abuse. Welcome from TikTok, by the way, Teresa. Welcome everybody who's come to YouTube from TikTok. Thank you for doing that. Josh the Progressive on YouTube, as we continue watching Karoline Leavitt, this absolute thug masquerading as our press secretary.
And we've also been very clear to point out when agencies or when programs do not align with this administration's values of putting our country first. You've seen that with USAID and in various other cases where there's been cuts made or funding has been slashed. And so, again, unfortunately, we're having to do a massive review of the bureaucracy to be good stewards of the American taxpayer dollar. And it's the Democrats who have forced the White House and the president into this position by voting to shut the government down.
You've talked about thousands likely layoffs coming. Do you have an update on the timeline for that? How quickly? And if the government is restored to funding and back in operation, will that list of potential layoffs still be on the table?
Look, as I just stated, the Office of Management and Budget is in constant communication and contact right now with our cabinet secretaries and agencies across the board to identify, unfortunately, where layoffs have to be made.
Somebody in my YouTube chat says, I'm waiting for my Doge checks. I'm still waiting. One day it'll come. Yeah, you're supposed to get a Doge check. You're also apparently supposed to get a tariff check, right? Remember, Trump says, oh, we're going to get rebates from the tariffs. And literally not even a week ago, he said, I'm going to give our farmers money from the tariffs. Wrong. That's not happening. Keep stringing people along. Keep fucking people over. Excuse my French. But seriously, like, people are getting screwed over and people are losing money. And we have a system that's broken and it's being exploited by Donald Trump and by rich assholes like Karoline Leavitt who don't care about the fact that you're struggling. She's just here to collect her paycheck and hopefully not live a disgraced life, which she will, because when we take back power, she's going to prison.
And where cuts have to happen. But again, the Democrats haven't.
And why would Karoline Leavitt go to prison, you may ask? For being a traitor to our country. She belongs in prison for spreading harmful information that is literally causing people to lose money and lose their lives.
An opportunity to prevent this if they vote to reopen the government. That is all this administration and the president is asking for. Vote for a clean continuing resolution to keep the government open. Peter.
Thank you, Karoline. During the campaign.
Thank you, Peter.
Here's Peter Dookie. Peter Dookie has a question. He's going to try and be all cute and funny because he actually wants to sleep with Karoline too. But let's listen to Peter Dookie.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room.
I was raised to say thank you in the White House briefing room. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Karoline Leavitt. I'm such a good boy. My name's Peter Dookie.
The campaign, President Trump said that he did not know anything about Project 2025. Now he knows about it. Is that the blueprint for shrinking the government?
Look, the blueprint is what the president and his team and his cabinet secretaries ultimately decide. And the president trusts his cabinet secretaries to identify where there is waste, fraud, and abuse. We pointed out this morning, or Russ Vogt tweeted about this morning, a Chicago rail project that was canceled. We paused $2.1 billion in Chicago infrastructure projects, specifically the Red Line extension and the...
I just made a video about this. Trump, once again, fucking over Americans. People in Chicago looking forward to having $2 billion worth of funding to expand their public transit, to help get people to work, to help people commute, to help people contribute to the economy. Wrong, gone, out. Donald Trump says, Americans, I don't care about you. If you're in a blue city, I don't represent you. Trump says, I hate my enemy. He said at Charlie Kirk's memorial, oh, Erica Kirk and I have some disagreements because I hate my enemy and I don't wish them well. Well, clearly, if you voted for Donald Trump and you live in Chicago, you played yourself. You played yourself because there goes that red line extension. Now you're not going to be able to commute to the south side. Now you're not going to be able to get up further north. Wrong. Red line. Canceled. You're just going to have to work within the same loop.
Red and purple modernization projects. And it's because the administration is concerned that the Biden administration was handing out taxpayer dollars to pay for this construction based on DEI. DOT is reviewing.
How is building railroads based on DEI? How is expanding public transit based on DEI? That is such blasphemy. That is clearly this administration treating your intelligence like a joke. They're like, oh, why don't we just say that the rail projects were DEI and that's how we can cancel them? Please, people, please call a friend who believes this nonsense and ask them seriously, are you okay with this? Do you appreciate what they're doing? Do you believe the fact that DEI is the reason why these rail projects can't continue? How can DEI even be involved in this? Oh, somebody working at Chicago Transit was black. Wow, whoop-de-doo. Oh my God, there's a woman involved? A lesbian? Oh my God, trans? Ooh, how terrifying. Oh my God, a trans person. So scary. Wrong. These people are just trying to screw over Chicago and they're just coming up with any buzzword, any type of excuse for that.
The race-based contracting on unconstitutional grounds, and in the meantime, the Department of Transportation funds for these projects are on hold. So I guess this answers both of your questions. This would be an example of that.
And just because there's so much shutdown talk, something different. What do you guys think about the NFL's decision to name Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime performer, somebody who has not scheduled shows in the U.S. because he says that he's worried that ICE is going to come and arrest his fans?
Well, look, I know there are many in this room who are very anxious to hear the president's response to Bad Bunny being the halftime show, so I won't get ahead of him. I won't reveal what he feels about this. Next time you all ask him a question, you're welcome to do that. I have my own feelings on that, but that's not what I'm up here to talk about. As far as ICE being a...
What a triggered little baby. What a little crybaby. They say, oh, the left, they're snowflakes. The liberals are so triggered. They're so soft. They're soy boys. You're like, oh my God, Bad Bunny's going to perform? I have my own feelings about that. I can't believe a Spanish person's going to perform. I can't believe somebody who's brown is going to perform at the Super Bowl. I thought that football was supposed to be American. It was supposed to be about country music. What? Since when is that a thing? And by the way, Bad Bunny, he's American. He's Puerto Rican. Okay? And yeah, he should absolutely be concerned about ICE arresting his fans because ICE is arresting American citizens.
The Super Bowl, as far as I'm aware, there's no tangible plan for that in store right now. However, of course, this administration is always going to arrest and deport illegal immigrants when we find them. If they are criminals, we're going to do the right thing by our country.
If they are criminals, aka we don't really care if they're criminals, actually. We're just going to arrest anybody we feel like, and we're going to call them criminals. And we don't want Bad Bunny singing because we don't like the fact that he's critical of our government.
Kate.
Did the president and Russ vote decide yesterday in their meeting which cuts they wanted to make to agencies and which ones would be permanent?
Again, I've kind of answered this question a few different times now. It's been asked in a few different ways. Their discussions continue between the Office of Management and Budget and cabinet agencies across the board, and they are actively identifying where these cuts and these layoffs have to be made as this government shutdown hopefully does not continue.
And on Hamas, the president said that if Hamas rejects the proposal that Netanyahu would have his full backing to finish the job. A UN report found that Israel was committing genocide in Gaza. Does the president have concerns about the civilians being killed, the worsening humanitarian crisis, and are there limits to what the White House would support when it comes to Israel's actions in Gaza?
Look, the president has deep concerns about all of the atrocities that have taken place in the Middle East over the past few years. It's deeply unfortunate that he inherited this mess from the Biden administration. If you all recall, under President Trump in his first term...
How many years do you think they're going to keep talking about Biden? It's going to be like 2042 and Don Jr. or Barron Trump, one of those two, they're going to be president and they're going to say, what's happening right now with the rise of AI replacing more American jobs, it's because of the Biden administration back in 2023. Oh, this is all because of Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. And look, yes, Biden administration, they contributed to this genocide that's happening. However, Karoline Leavitt, what a bullshit non-answer. She's like, oh, Trump is deeply concerned about all the atrocities that have been committed over the past several years. Wrong. You are literally posting on social media saying Hamas has till Sunday, otherwise their entire Gaza Strip will be completely obliterated. He's saying that he's going to eviscerate the rest of the population if they don't agree to the deal by Sunday. By the way, what is this, like the 10th time that Donald Trump said he's going to have Hamas has to come to a deal, and if they don't come to a deal by this day, all hell is going to break loose? He said that, what, about 10 times? Nobody takes Trump seriously. And Hamas, you know, say what you will about Hamas, they don't need to listen to Donald Trump because Trump is saying, if you don't make a deal, we're going to destroy you. Well, you're already bombing everybody in the region, so there's nothing else you can do to punish them even harder. Like, you're doing the same thing regardless. You're not changing course. Like, it's the same plan regardless. So Hamas is probably thinking, why do we even have to listen to Donald Trump? He's either bullshitting us again, there's no real deal, or they're just going to continue slaughtering us anyway. So what's the point?
The Middle East was on a pathway for peace and prosperity. There was the historic signing of the Abraham Accords. Israel is on a path to normalization between Arab and Gulf nations, and we hope that can continue. But right now, the president has made it very clear to Hamas that this is an acceptable and detailed proposal that they must accept, or the consequences are going to be very grave for them. And he has given them a deadline of Sunday evening at 6 p.m. When I was out here on Wednesday, I told all of you, I'll leave it to the president to make that red line, and he now has. I think the entire world should hear the president of the United States loud and clear. And Hamas has an opportunity to accept this plan and to move forward in a peaceful and prosperous manner in the region. And if they don't, the consequences, unfortunately, are going to be very tragic. Michael.
Thank you, Caroline. Has the president declared war on international drug cartels? And if so, or if he will, does he feel he needs congressional approval?
Remember the No New Wars shtick that they try to tell us? Well, Karoline Leavitt's about to say, oh, Donald Trump hasn't declared war. Let's listen.
As the White House has said many times, the president has directed these actions, these strikes against Venezuelan drug cartels and these boats, consistent with his responsibility to protect the United States interests abroad and in furtherance of the U.S. national security and foreign policy interests. This is pursuant to his constitutional authority as commander-in-chief and the chief executive to conduct foreign relations. In each of these cases, Michael, the vessels have been assessed by the U.S. intelligence community to be affiliated with designated terrorist organizations engaged at the time in trafficking illicit drugs to our country. The president has been very clear, dating back to the campaign trail, that he is always going to do what's in the best interest of the American people.
Hakeem Jeffries has said that President Trump is in the Presidential Witness Protection Program since the shutdown has begun. What's the White House's reaction to that?
That's just more ridiculous fodder from Hakeem Jeffries. As you all know, because you're here every day, the president is literally working around the clock right now. I think he has a swearing-in ceremony, or he already did. He has several meetings on the books today. He literally works 24/7. Anyone who works in this place or covers this place, as you all do, knows that to be true. And Hakeem Jeffries and the Senate Democrats should get back to work in a few minutes and vote to reopen the government.
By the way, they just didn't. They failed to do that. And it's a good thing. I think the Democrats are starting to hold strong. The government failed to reopen. That was breaking news just a minute ago. And in a minute, I'm going to record that and break that to my audience too.
Emily.
Thank you, Caroline. You spoke earlier about the energy and infrastructure projects that Director Vogt paused. Will the White House agree to restore that funding as part of the deal to end the shutdown?
Well, I won't make any agreements here. Senate Republicans are talking with their colleagues on the Democrat side, but right now, Russ Vought is doing what he's been tasked to do in the midst of this government shutdown, which is to look at funds that need to be temporarily halted or need to be canceled. And Chicago is just another example of that. Go to Libby in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions for you. One on the FDA, but first on the shutdown.
Sure.
Will the administration, if this government shutdown ends, still move forward with firing thousands of federal workers?
Look, as I've said repeatedly, Libby, right now we want the government to be open. Layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of a government shutdown, and it's something the administration is examining. If the government is reopened, we're going to get back to doing what we were doing last week and the week before, working on the issues that the American people care about.
And then on the FDA, they just approved that new abortion pill, and it's causing a lot of uproar among the Republicans. What is the president's response to that? And
Karoline Leavitt does not like the A word. She does not like to hear about abortion. That does not align with the cross that is on her neck.
does the administration plan to have that FDA approval?
Well, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Bobby Kennedy, has put out several statements on this. The HHS's decision, it's not an endorsement of this drug by any means. They are just simply following the law. And as they put out in their statement, by law, the Secretary of Health and Human Services must approve a generic drug application if the application demonstrates the generic drug is the, quote, same as the brand name drug. Generic applicants are not required to submit independent evidence proving safety and effectiveness. As such, FDA's decision to approve a second generic version does not address the merits of the current safety program. HHS is reviewing adverse effects to ensure that FDA's required safety program for the drug is sufficient to protect women. This safety review equally applies to generic versions of this drug. So FDA...
Can somebody explain that to me in my comments, by the way? Why in our society do we have generic versions of things that are just the exact same thing as something with a name, but it's slightly cheaper? What is the point of that? Is that just another example of how our capitalist society makes absolutely no sense? And by the way, our society is designed so that competition is supposed to be, oh, like I make lemonade and I make lemonade better than you, so you should come do my lemonade. When in reality, the way it has panned out is, oh, I dilute my lemonade as much as possible to maximize profits. Oh, and my lemonade is just straight piss, right? Capitalism is not functioning properly and it's not working for people. The discrepancy in wages in this country is out of control. That is why you see California Governor Gavin Newsom calling Trump Marie Antoinette. Like, we literally have another French Revolution brewing because people at some point are going to be fed up. And honestly, it's going to become my job as somebody who has organized a community to say, you know what, we need to have general strikes. We need to have a national day of noncompliance. We need to stop sending our money to the federal government, because what are we doing here? People in the American Revolution rioted for much less. They didn't like the fact that they were being taxed on tea, and they didn't like the fact that they were being represented by a king. Well, we have a much bigger problem on our hands now. We're dealing with the same type of no taxation without representation. This government doesn't represent us at all. They're telling us what's best for us instead of us telling them what we need. And sooner or later, we need to act. I mean, we really need to act now. But what I'm saying is that realization is coming. It's going to require planning.
HHS are following the law. It's, again, not an endorsement of the drug itself. Mary.
Thanks, Karoline. 2 questions on the shutdown. You've argued that these impending layoffs are necessary to keep essential services up and running, but that has never been the case in any previous shutdown. You know, when the government was shut down for 35 days in Trump's first term, you've never had to lay off thousands of workers to keep essential services up and running. So why are layoffs now necessary in this shutdown?
Because we have an administration and we have a president who are wholeheartedly focused on restoring fiscal sanity to our government and doing the right thing by the American taxpayer. We are $37 trillion in debt, and the federal government is currently shut down. There is no more.
You added to that debt. You added to that debt with enormous debt from the big, beautiful bill.
More money coming into the federal government's coffers. And as you've also seen since the beginning in January, this administration is focusing on waste, fraud, and abuse. And so Democrats have given this administration an unenviable choice to have to take a look at the balance sheet and identify where these cuts and layoffs can be made.
And you just said this is an unenviable choice, that this is an unfortunate consequence, but the president has described this as an unprecedented opportunity to lay off additional workers. He's posted a video likening Russ Vought to the Grim Reaper. So which is this? Is this an opportunity to fire more workers or an unfortunate consequence?
Look, the president likes to have a little fun every now and then, and I think both things can be...
Oh, everything that the president does wrong, he just likes to have a little bit of fun. He's just having fun posting Russ Vought as the Grim Reaper, which I'll show you in a little bit, by the way. Trump posted this AI video of the Project 2025 Nazi going around Democratic establishments, being the Grim Reaper, essentially just firing people, even though it's honestly violent rhetoric. He's like threatening their lives. He's the Grim Reaper. And that's just another thing that the president posted. But the president's just having fun. He's just having fun. Everything's just fun. It's all like a big joke to this president.
Be true at the same time. The Democrats have...
Do you like the fact that the president is having fun and he's kidding around and joking while people are struggling to afford groceries? Do you like the fact that the president is having fun, golfing, posting memes, while you can't afford health insurance and while American troops are being sent to Venezuela? Then don't vote MAGA.